After this, women will never confuse you again. Psychology tricks. Clarity is power. Confusion is costly. You've seen it before. She's warm on Monday, ice cold by Thursday, and you're left replaying every text, emoji, and pause like it's a courtroom transcript. That spiral isn't insight, it's overthinking. Most men don't get played by women, they get played by their own uncertainty. When you chase explanations instead of evidence, you lose your center. When you read poetry into mixed signals, you hand away the frame. That ends now. From this point forward, you stop guessing and start observing. Words matter, but patterns matter more. Mood swings don't mean mystery, they signal context. Interest is visible in effort, consistency, and initiative. Attraction isn't built with flattery or clever lines. It's built with presence, boundaries, and the value you bring to a woman's life. Women don't confuse a man who is grounded. They test him. And a grounded man doesn't flinch. In the next minutes, you'll learn 9 clear principles, simple psychology tricks backed by common sense that turn fog into a map. You'll track actions over promises. You'll measure rhythm over noise. You'll hold your pace, not hers. No more decoding every syllable. No more reacting to every high and low. You'll see the current beneath the surface and respond with steadiness, not anxiety. Apply these 9 principles and the dynamic flips. You'll know what interest looks like, what hesitation feels like, and when to lean in or walk away. You won't need to force anything. You won't need to chase. You'll lead with calm, you'll speak with intention, and you'll let reality do the sorting. After this, women won't confuse you. You'll be the one setting the terms. 1. Understand the nature of women's emotions. Most men believe their struggles with women come from not being handsome enough, wealthy enough, or clever enough with words, but that's not the real problem. The truth is simpler. They don't understand the nature of women's emotions, and that ignorance makes them lose control. Men think in straight lines. If she says, "I love you," then it must mean forever. If she laughs at my joke today, she must always feel the same way. But women don't operate in that rigid system. Female psychology is not a math equation, it's a shifting tide. A woman's emotions are like the weather. The morning can be bright and full of warmth, and by afternoon the storm clouds roll in. The sunshine wasn't fake, it was real in that moment. But moments change, and so do feelings. She can text you first, shower you with compliments, and make you feel like the only man in the room, and a week later seem distant, uninterested, and cold. And you sit there torturing yourself, wondering, what did I do wrong? This is where most men spiral into confusion. But here's the reality. You didn't necessarily screw anything up. That's just how emotions move. Water doesn't stay still. It ripples, it crashes, it calms, it shifts. Female psychology follows that same rhythm. The biggest mistake men make is expecting consistency. Don't cling to yesterday's "I love you" as if it guarantees tomorrow. Don't hold her emotional weather hostage in your mind. If you keep demanding stability from something that by nature flows, you will drive yourself insane. Think about it. You also have days when you crave a food you love and other days when you don't care for it at all. The food didn't change. You did. That's how women's emotions work, and you must accept that change doesn't mean dishonesty, it means reality. A mature man doesn't panic when her feelings shift. He doesn't blame himself for every mood swing, and he doesn't waste energy trying to fix her emotions because they were never his to control in the first place. Instead, he stays calm, steady, and unshaken. Be the rock in the middle of the river. The current can rage, the waves can crash, but the rock doesn't move. That is how you win respect. That is how you stop being confused. That is how you become the man she fears losing. You must understand this. A man who grounds himself in reality, who doesn't chase after every emotional high or drown in every emotional low, becomes rare. And rare is valuable. This is one of the most powerful psychology tricks you will ever learn, not because it manipulates her, but because it frees you. Female psychology is not a puzzle to solve or a code to crack. It's a reality to understand. The moment you stop fighting it, you rise above it. Women don't fall in love with a man who mirrors their instability. They fall in love with a man who can hold steady while the storm passes. They test your patience, they pull back, they swing between hot and cold, not because they want to punish you, but because that's how emotions flow. Your job is not to control it. Your job is to control yourself. Don't overanalyze every text. Don't replay every word in your head. Don't panic every time she shifts. Be unmovable. Be grounded. Be the calm presence in the storm. When you embody this, you unlock the secret of how to fall in love without losing yourself. You stop being the man who chases and starts being the man she chases. You become attractive in a way that no looks, money, or smooth words can ever match. Women respect men who don't flinch under pressure, and they fear losing men who don't beg for consistency. That's the truth. And once you understand this truth, women will never confuse you again. 2. Watch actions, not words. One of the greatest traps men fall into is believing a woman's words as if they were signed contracts carved in stone. She whispers, "I love you," and suddenly he thinks it's eternal, unshakable, forever. But here's the hard truth you must understand. Women's words often mirror their emotions in that moment, not a lifelong oath. Emotions shift like the tide. What she feels today might not be what she feels next month. That's not deception, it's simply human nature. Don't anchor your life on a wave. Anchor it on the shoreline, on what's real. The real proof is not in what she says. It's in what she does. A woman can paint you pictures with promises, but if she cancels plans, leaves your messages on read, or starts pulling away, her actions are shouting louder than any sweet words ever could. And actions never lie. That is the truth every high-value man must carry in his bones. A woman's behavior is her truest language, and if you want to stop being confused, you must become fluent in reading it. So why do so many men ignore this? Why do they cling to words like a drowning man to a floating stick? Because they want to believe. Hope is intoxicating. A man remembers, she said she loves me, and he builds a castle of fantasies around it, even while the walls crumble from her silence and absence. While he's waiting, her energy has already drifted, maybe toward another man, maybe toward her own freedom, but either way, not toward him. That's not tragedy, that's reality. Don't ignore it. Don't deny it. Face it. This is why countless men get played without realizing it. Not always because women are scheming, but because men choose illusion over evidence. They want the dream so badly they overlook the truth staring them in the face. A high-value man doesn't make that mistake. He trains himself to separate noise from signal. He looks at behavior, not just promises. He doesn't chase ghosts. He doesn't wait for someone who has already walked away in spirit. Here's the simplest test. If she cares, you'll know. You won't need to guess. You won't need to decode mixed signals like some cryptographer. She will call, she will text, she will show up. You will feel her presence. You'll see her investment. On the other hand, if you find yourself constantly proving, chasing, justifying, or hoping she'll come back to being the woman she used to be, then you're living in denial. That is weakness. That is wasted masculine energy. Stop it. A man who learns this lesson unlocks a different level of power. He stops asking, "What did she say?" and starts asking, "What is she doing?" That single shift is like putting on glasses after years of blurry vision. Suddenly, the games disappear. The confusion ends. Words are charming, but behavior is the final verdict. Judge that. Trust that. Respect that. And when you live by this principle, everything changes. You stop being blindsided. You stop wasting months on false hope. You stop being trapped in cycles of confusion. Instead, you make sharp, decisive choices. If her actions align with her words, invest. If they don't, step back. No hesitation. No begging. No waiting. That is how a high-value man moves. That is how you protect your masculine energy. Remember this. Love is not built on declarations. It's built on consistency. Promises are easy, patterns are hard. The man who understands this truth doesn't get lost in endless waiting games. He doesn't hand over his dignity for scraps of affection. Instead, he becomes rare, solid, dependable, the kind of man who attracts women without effort because he doesn't trade reality for fantasy. In the end, a high-value man is never confused. He sees clearly, acts boldly, and never clings to empty words. He lets actions be the measure, and by doing so, he earns something far more powerful than temporary affection. He earns respect. And respect is the foundation of attraction that lasts. 3. Attraction is built on energy, not logic. Men often fall into the trap of believing that if they are loyal, kind, and dependable, that will guarantee a woman's lasting devotion. But the old Stoic wisdom teaches us to see reality clearly. You can do everything right, and she can still lose interest. Why? Because attraction is not a checklist. Attraction is not built on logic. Attraction is energy. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You must understand that no matter how well you perform on paper, if she doesn't feel something, she will drift away. Women don't stay because you tick boxes. They stay because of the spark, the tension, the magnetic pull of your presence. And when that spark dies, nothing you say will reignite it. Don't make the mistake of killing attraction with neediness. When you text too much, hover over her every move, or build your whole existence around her, you smother your masculine energy. You stop being the man she was drawn to, and you become the man who chases. She withdraws because the polarity, the fire between masculine and feminine, is gone. Think of the image from Stoicism when a warrior doesn't beg the battle to come to him. He prepares, he strengthens his iron mind, and when the battle comes, he meets it with calm authority. That is what women want to feel from you. Not desperation, not pleading, but presence. Picture a cat and a toy. The cat only plays if the toy moves. The moment it lies still, the cat loses interest. Attraction works the same way. Women crave mystery, momentum, and challenge. When you reveal every card too quickly, the game ends. This doesn't mean you should play cheap games or manipulate. It means you must live in such a way that your life is already full, already on fire with your own mission. Seneca said, "It is not the man who is too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." A man with direction never begs. He doesn't orbit her world, he invites her into his. In modern life, this truth matters more than ever. Social media makes it easy for men to lose themselves in constant validation seeking. Don't fall into that trap. A man with an iron mind stays grounded in his mission, his career, his discipline. He trains his body, sharpens his skills, builds his empire. Women are drawn to that energy because it is rare. The more you chase approval, the more invisible you become. The more you live with stoic composure and inner strength, the more magnetic you are. Understand this clearly. You cannot argue attraction into existence. You cannot logic your way into a woman's heart. You cannot talk her into loving you. You must make her feel it. And feelings are triggered not by words, but by energy. Stand firm in your masculine essence. Be calm when she tests you. Be strong when she doubts you. Be immovable when life throws storms your way. As Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When you radiate presence, women sense it immediately. That is the difference between the man she forgets and the man she cannot get out of her mind. So don't waste time trying to be perfect. Stop thinking perfection will keep her. Stop explaining. Stop justifying. Start embodying power. Start living with purpose. Start carrying yourself like the man who knows where he is going. Energy is the reason she stays. Logic never will. And when you master this lesson, when you embrace Stoicism win, build your iron mind, and apply old Stoic wisdom to your daily life, you become the man no woman ever wants to lose. If you found this powerful truth valuable, like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and don't forget to subscribe for more wisdom. Comment to remember, I attract with energy, not logic. 4. Protect your value and choose the right woman. Protect your value and choose the right woman, because here's the truth. You don't need every woman to stay. You only need the right one, and the right one will not confuse you with mixed signals or endless games. She will show you through her consistency that she is invested in you. Too many men fall into the trap of chasing the wrong woman, begging for scraps of attention, losing their self-respect one step at a time, believing that if they just wait long enough, love harder, or prove their loyalty, she'll finally see their worth. Yet the harder they try, the more they lose themselves and the less attractive they become. Female psychology is simple. Women respect men who respect themselves. They are drawn to men who live with standards, purpose, and dignity. A man who understands psychology tricks knows that chasing after someone who is already pulled away is a losing game, because real attraction is not built on desperation. It is built on strength, self-control, and masculine energy. Don't beg. Don't chase. Don't lower your value just to keep temporary attention. Be the man who knows his worth, who walks with calm confidence, who protects his dignity like a shield, because that is the kind of man women fear losing. Real strength isn't measured in muscles or money. It is measured in stability, resilience, and the ability to stay grounded when emotions swing. When she pulls back, you don't panic. When she tests your patience, you don't collapse. You observe, you decide, and if necessary, you walk away. That is masculine power in its purest form, and it makes you unforgettable. The right woman will never keep you guessing. Yes, she may have doubts sometimes because she's human, but overall, her energy is steady, her presence is consistent, and she invests in the relationship without making you decode cryptic texts or beg for clarity. That means you must be selective. Not every woman deserves your time, your energy, or your heart, and when you truly embrace this, you stop falling for the chaos of mixed signals. A high-value man doesn't cling to words that don't match actions. He reads behavior, not empty promises, and he has the courage to enforce boundaries. Protecting your value means you refuse to trade self-respect for temporary affection. You refuse to let fear of being alone push you into weak decisions, and you refuse to live in confusion. Female psychology rewards strength, clarity, and leadership. When you embody these traits, you naturally attract women without chasing, because your masculine energy speaks louder than any words. Remember this psychology trick. The right woman makes your life easier, not harder. She brings peace, not chaos, partnership, not puzzles. That is how to fall in love the right way, not by losing yourself in the wrong woman, but by guarding your value until the right one arrives. When you protect your value, you become rare, and rarity creates desire. The man who knows his worth, who lives with purpose, who carries himself with quiet authority, is the man no woman wants to lose. And when you master this, women will never confuse you again, because you'll see through the noise, you'll understand female psychology for what it is, and you'll know exactly how to fall in love without losing yourself. 5. Stop searching for logic and emotions. One of the greatest mistakes men make is trying to hunt for logic in every move a woman makes. Yesterday, she tells you she likes you, today she's cold as ice, and tomorrow she might be warm again, laughing at your jokes as if nothing happened. Instantly, your brain goes into overdrive. What did I do wrong? How do I fix this? There has to be a logical explanation. So you start dissecting her words, replaying every conversation, overanalyzing her texts, as if you were a detective solving a murder case. But here's the brutal truth. You will never find logic in emotions. Emotions don't run on math equations. They're not spreadsheets with predictable formulas. They're like waves in the ocean, sometimes calm, sometimes violent, sometimes rising without warning. And here's the kicker. The waves don't stop to explain themselves to you. Men confuse themselves because they assume if they do everything right, if they're kind, attentive, thoughtful, stable, women will respond with consistent behavior. That's not how emotions work. Even if you're perfect, even if you embody everything on paper that makes sense, she can still wake up one morning feeling distant. Does that mean you failed? Absolutely not. It just means her emotions shifted, and emotions shift by nature. That's not a failure on your part. That's the reality of human psychology. And when you're trying to attract women, the worst thing you can do is panic at every change of mood, because that panic strips you of your masculine energy. The moment you accept this truth, confusion disappears. You stop asking questions that have no answers. Instead of trying to impose logic where there is none, you step back and observe. When she's warm, enjoy it. When she's cold, stay grounded. When she's unpredictable, remain steady. That steadiness is what makes you a high-value man. Because while other men are losing their grip, scrambling to fix what can't be fixed, you become the man who cannot be shaken. That is masculine energy in its purest form, calm in the storm, fireproof in the heat, unmoved by the shifting tides of emotion. Think of it like this. If you're standing at the edge of the ocean and the waves crash against you, you don't scream at the water for being inconsistent. You don't demand it explain why one wave was bigger than the last. You simply plant your feet, brace yourself, and let the water rise and fall. That is how you must treat female psychology. Don't resist it. Don't demand answers. Don't chase explanations. Be steady. Be grounded. Be the man who observes but does not drown. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop trying to control emotions, women actually feel safer around you. Why? Because while most men become unstable when faced with mood swings, you remain solid, you don't flinch, you don't get needy, you don't overreact. You simply embody consistency. That is what makes a woman look at you differently. That is what makes her fear losing you. Because you are no longer like the rest, you're the man who refuses to be pulled into chaos. Remember this. Emotions are temporary, they rise, they fall, they pass. But a high-value man knows his worth isn't tossed around by temporary storms. He doesn't chase approval. He doesn't drown in analysis. He stands firm, grounded in his own identity, carrying the kind of masculine energy that silently tells the world, I cannot be broken. And that is exactly why women respect you, why they desire you, and why they will never confuse you again. If this opened your eyes, like the video, share it with a brother who needs this truth, and hit subscribe for more clarity. Comment to remember, I don't chase logic and emotions, I stay steady. 6. Learn to stay silent and observe. Most men make the same mistake. They react too quickly when a woman pulls back, and their fear of losing her makes them overcompensate with endless texts, questions, and desperate energy. But the truth is that every time you chase, you hand over your power. And she feels it because silence is power, silence is presence, silence is the ultimate expression of an iron mind, the kind of discipline taught in Old Stoic wisdom where Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That is why you must learn to stay silent and observe, because silence is not weakness, it is not indifference, it is control, it is patience, it is restraint, it is stoicism when in practice. And when you stop demanding answers and let her actions reveal the truth, you will always be ahead, because words can lie, but actions never do, and her effort, her consistency, her energy toward you will tell you everything you need to know. Think of the men who command respect without raising their voice, the men whose quiet confidence fills a room. They don't beg for clarity, they don't chase validation, and women are drawn to that mysterious calm because it is rare, it is valuable, and it feels unshakable. In modern life, the man who can hold his silence when tempted to overreact is the man who wins negotiations at work, avoids unnecessary fights at home, and keeps his dignity intact when others are losing theirs. Because staying calm under pressure is the hallmark of an iron mind, and women feel it deeply when they encounter it. Don't be the man who collapses under every cold text or distant mood. Be the man who stands tall, who observes, who lets reality unfold without panic, because that kind of control is magnetic. It creates attraction without effort. It makes her wonder. And curiosity is the seed of desire. Remember the words of Epictetus. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And this is exactly why silence is stronger than any speech, because it shows you cannot be controlled by shifting emotions or temporary storms. You must refuse to be the man who fills silence with nervous chatter. Instead, become the man whose silence commands attention, because silence backed by strength is louder than 1,000 words. It makes her respect you. It makes her fear losing you. And in today's world where men are constantly pressured to explain, apologize, and over-explain, the ability to remain silent is not just discipline, it is rebellion, it is freedom, It is Stoicism when applied to relationships. Women don't want a man who is easily swayed by moods. They want the rare man who embodies stillness, who is unmoved, who waits and watches like a mountain rooted against the storm, because that man cannot be replaced. Let this truth sink in. You don't need to chase reassurance. You don't need to solve every emotional wave. You don't need to react. Instead, you must embody calm authority, because that is what earns lasting respect. Old Stoic wisdom teaches that true strength is not found in loud outbursts, but in calm endurance. And if you live by this, you'll see that silence is not emptiness. Silence is strategy. Silence is power, and it turns confusion into clarity. So master this skill. Live it daily, because the man who controls his reactions controls his destiny. And when you master silence, you master attraction, respect, and life itself. 7. Maintain your scarcity. Scarcity is one of the most powerful psychology tricks a man can ever master, because human nature always values what is rare, and the truth is simple. The more available something is, the less it is truly desired. This principle is not just about money, business, or opportunities. It cuts straight into the core of relationships, and female psychology runs on this exact law. Think about it. Diamonds are precious not because they are the hardest stone, but because they are rare. The same logic applies to you as a man. Your time, your attention, and your presence must carry the weight of value. If you give them away cheaply, you destroy the very thing that makes you attractive. Women are wired to respond to scarcity. When she knows your world doesn't stop spinning just because she texted, she respects you. When she realizes she cannot predict your every move, she feels the thrill of chasing. That's the science of female psychology, and once you understand it, you'll never be confused again about how to fall in love and keep attraction alive. Don't make the mistake most men make, being endlessly available, texting back instantly, canceling your own plans just to see her, saying yes to every little thing. That doesn't show love, it shows weakness. And in the realm of female psychology, weakness is repulsive. Attraction thrives in mystery, in challenge, in the subtle tension between presence and absence. Be the man whose time is a privilege, not a commodity. Remember this. The moment you hand yourself over on a silver platter, you strip away the excitement, the curiosity, and the very hunger that makes her crave you. She doesn't want a doormat. She wants a mountain, solid, steady, hard to conquer. This is not about manipulation. It is about self-respect, and self-respect is the foundation of attraction. Scarcity is not a game. It's not about ignoring her calls just to make her chase. That's immaturity, not mastery. True scarcity comes from living a life so full, so driven, and so purpose-filled that your time becomes naturally limited. You're building your career, your body, your mind, your vision. You're pursuing goals that demand your focus. She is not your entire world. Instead, she's invited into your world, and that invitation is earned, not handed out. That's the difference between a man who begs for love and a man who makes love grow naturally. This is the essence of the deepest psychology tricks, not to fake scarcity, but to embody it because you are genuinely valuable. When a woman knows your attention is not infinite, she rises to meet your standard. She invests more effort. She respects your boundaries. She values your presence. She doesn't take you for granted because she knows your time is not cheap. And here's the twist most men never realize. Giving too much attention kills attraction faster than giving too little. Why? Because comfort zones suffocate desire. Love doesn't bloom where there's no oxygen. It blooms where there's space to breathe, space to miss, space to long. Even poets and philosophers have echoed this truth for centuries. Khalil Gibran once said, "Let there be spaces in your togetherness, and let the winds of the heavens dance between you." That is scarcity in action, space that ignites passion instead of smothering it. You must protect your time. Guard your energy. Don't waste yourself on meaningless distractions or desperate chases. Women respect the man who is not always available because it shows that he belongs to himself first. That is real strength. That is how attraction endures. Never forget, scarcity is not manipulation. It's the ultimate proof that you value yourself. And when you truly value yourself, women will value you even more. The man who knows this secret never needs to wonder how to fall in love or keep a woman's desire alive. He already knows the answer: be scarce, be strong, and be the prize. If this spoke to you, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs this wisdom, and don't forget to subscribe for more. Comment below to lock this lesson in your mind. My time is scarce. My value is high. 8. Don't let words define you. One day she looks at you with shining eyes and tells you, you're amazing. The next day, without warning, she sighs and says, you're not enough. If your identity swings with those words like a weather vane in the wind, you'll never know who you are. You'll live in chaos, waiting for her approval to feel valuable, and nothing kills your masculine energy faster than that. That's weakness. And weakness never helps you attract women, it repels them. A high-value man understands this truth. His value cannot be decided by shifting words or fleeting emotions. Compliments and criticism may touch your ears, but they must never shake your soul. Your worth comes from within, from the man you choose to be, from the standards you refuse to lower, and from the life you build with discipline and purpose. That is the foundation of masculine energy. That is what makes a man steady in storms. You must accept that women are emotional by nature. Yes, she may tell you one thing today and another tomorrow. That doesn't mean she's lying, it means she's human. Emotions move like tides. But if you bend yourself into knots to match every change of tone, if you let every word carve your sense of self, you will lose yourself. And when you lose yourself, you lose her respect. No woman can admire a man who erases himself to be liked. The man who attracts women most deeply is not the one who adjusts like clay to every comment. It is the man who remains consistent. He does not need to be told, you're great, to feel great. He does not collapse when someone says, you're not enough. He knows he is enough. He knows his identity. That is unshakable. That is magnetic. That is what makes a high-value man impossible to ignore. Think about it. The oak tree does not move because of the sparrow's song. Whether the bird sings sweetly or harshly, the tree remains rooted, tall, unbothered. A man must be the same. Her words may rise and fall like the weather, but you stand steady because your worth is not up for negotiation. When you stop letting words define you, you become untouchable. You free yourself from chasing validation. You radiate confidence. And confidence, more than any sweet talk, is what makes you unforgettable. Men, here is the deeper lesson. The most attractive quality you can possess is not good looks, flashy wealth, or clever lines. It is emotional steadiness. It is the ability to hear praise without arrogance and endure criticism without collapse. That balance makes you strong. That strength makes you magnetic. And that magnetism is what women feel in their bones. So, don't be the man who breaks because of a careless sentence. Don't be the man who rises only when told he is loved and falls when told otherwise. Be the man who carries his value inside, who sets his course by his own compass, not by someone else's moods. Be the man whose masculine energy speaks louder than any words could. The truth is simple. Women respect a man they cannot shake. They remember the man who remains himself no matter what is said. And they fear losing the man who knows his worth. That is the man who is rare. That is the man who is valuable. That is the high-value man every woman quietly prays she won't lose. So remember, never let words define you. Define yourself. Live by your standards. Build your worth from within. And watch how your steady presence, your masculine energy, and your refusal to bend to shifting winds make you the kind of man who attracts women effortlessly, because you are no longer seeking, you are simply being. And that is power. 9. Focus on purpose and your own life. The most magnetic men in history and in modern life have always been men with purpose, because purpose is power, and without it, you are like a ship without a compass. A man who wakes up every day with a mission, who builds his career, who pursues his dream, who chases his vision with fire in his eyes, radiates an energy no woman can resist. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions," and that old Stoic wisdom still applies today. Women are drawn to men who are going somewhere, men who know where they are headed, men who keep making progress with or without them. That is because a man who lives by his mission does not need a woman to feel complete. He chooses to share his journey, and that choice makes him powerful. The mistake most men make is putting women at the center of their lives. They drop their goals, abandon their hobbies, and sacrifice their ambition just to keep her happy. But in doing so, they lose themselves, and when a man loses himself, she loses interest. No woman respects a man who has no direction. Don't be that man. Be the man who guards his purpose like a fortress, the man who stays committed to his mission above all. As Seneca said, to live is to fight, and that fight must always begin with your own vision. Having purpose does not mean ignoring her. It means balance. It means inviting her along for the ride, but never giving up the path you were born to walk. It means being a man whose life is already meaningful and allowing her to enhance it, not define it. In today's world, distractions are endless: social media, shallow pleasures, constant noise. But a man with an iron mind, sharpened by discipline, cuts through the chaos and keeps moving forward. That is Stoicism win in action: focus, clarity, and unshakable drive. When you live with purpose, women cannot confuse you, because whether she stays or leaves, you are still moving, still building, still leading your own life. That is the mindset of a high-value man. That is the old Stoic wisdom that separates boys from men. Purpose makes you irreplaceable. Not perfection, not endless devotion, but relentless focus on your mission, guided by an iron mind that does not bend to emotions or external approval. Epictetus reminded us, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This is the path. When you rise each day with a vision bigger than yourself, you create momentum that no rejection can stop and no woman can control. So don't chase her, chase your purpose. Don't make her your mission, make your mission your magnet. Because when you stand firm on your path, she will be drawn to you, not the other way around. And if she walks away, you still win, because your mission never leaves you. That is Stoicism win. That is the life of a man with an iron mind. And that is exactly why women will find you impossible to resist. Thanks for watching, my friend. Let me leave you with this. Women don't really confuse you. What confuses you is expecting logic in a world ruled by feelings, clinging to words instead of actions, and letting neediness crush your masculine energy. But starting today, you're different. You've learned the 9 principles of being a true man: understanding emotions, reading actions, protecting your value, mastering silence, staying scarce, focusing on your mission. These aren't just tricks, they're a way of living. When you walk this path, you become a high-value man, rare, respected, and unforgettable. Here's my advice: stop chasing clarity from women. A woman who truly values you will give it freely. If she doesn't, you must be strong enough to walk away. Don't settle for confusion. Don't live in emotional chaos. Live with purpose, strength, and discipline. The right woman won't make you question yourself. She'll bring peace to the power you already hold. So remember, the choice is yours. Stay stuck in confusion, or rise as the man women will never dare to take for granted. Choose strength. Choose clarity. Choose yourself, starting right now.